3 alien assassins broke into my bedroom before sunrise. Each from a different world. Each sworn to kill me without hesitation. But the moment they saw what I was hiding, their mission changed, and I became the most valuable and most hunted man in the galaxy. That I knew something was wrong the moment I woke up, before I even opened my eyes. Years of combat training sharpen your instincts in ways that never really leave. One heartbeat too many, one shift in the air pressure, one subtle disturbance in the silence, and your body screams danger. Mine wasn't just screaming tonight, it was yelling. Artificial dawn hadn't lit the city yet. New Horizon Station still floated in its programmed night cycle, its metal arteries humming softly beneath the apartment floor. I lay perfectly still on my bed, keeping the appearance of deep sleep while every nerve moved into high alert. Someone was here, inside my private quarters, which should have been impossible. I designed half the station's security system myself. I waited, breathing slow and even, until I finally sensed movement, controlled, light, professional. Then a voice, low and melodic, spoke close to my ear. "Do not move, human." I opened my eyes, and found the first assassin inches from my face. She was stunning, deadly, yes, but stunning. Emerald silver armor hugged an athletic frame, etched with alien runes that glowed faintly like bioluminescent veins. Her eyes were a luminous shade of sapphire, sharp enough to cut through armor, and the blade she held to my throat looked like it could split atoms. I did what any reasonable man would do in that situation. I smiled. "Well," I whispered, "this is one way to wake a guy up." Her expression flickered. Annoyance? Confusion? Hard to tell. But she hesitated, and that told me more than her weapon ever could. Assassins didn't hesitate. Not the real ones. She pressed the blade slightly harder. "Your humor will not save you." "Maybe not." I kept my gaze steady. "But you haven't killed me yet. Which means you're not sure you should." That landed. I could feel the shift in her breathing. Something about me had thrown her plan off balance. Something unexpected. Her eyes darted to the small glowing pattern on my chest, barely visible beneath the shirt I slept in. Recognition widened her pupils, followed by disbelief. "You have the mark?" "Mark?" I barely had time to process before she stepped back. Not in fear, but in something like reverence. "No," she breathed, stunned. This mission was a lie. She vanished a second later, out the window, silent as a ghost, leaving behind a single engraved combat sigil on my pillow. A calling card. An apology. By the time the station's artificial sun finally brightened the skyline, I had already pulled every security feed within a 10-block radius. Nothing showed entry. Nothing showed exit. It was as if the assassin materialized out of thin air and vanished the same way. That meant one thing: someone with high-level access had helped her. Someone inside. Before I could dig deeper, my comm unit chirped with an urgent priority code used only by one man. Admiral Joran, my boss and the closest thing I had to a mentor. "Commander Darius." His voice came through low and tight. "Council chamber." "Now." When an admiral talks like that, you move. 5 minutes later, I was striding across the polished floor of the Grand Assembly Hall. A sweeping glass chamber curved along the outer shell of New Horizon Station. The starfield beyond the window glittered like diamonds on black velvet. Security was doubled. Uniforms stiff. Faces tense. Something big had just happened. Inside, 12 council members sat in a semicircle around a projection map of the Orion sector. I recognized the heads of Earth's diplomacy, defense, trade, but my attention snapped to the 3 figures seated on the right side of the hall. 3 alien women. And not just any 3. My midnight visitor was one of them. She wore diplomatic armor now. Sleek, ceremonial, and a whole lot more modest than what she'd been wearing when she was sitting on top of me last night with a blade to my throat. The other 2 were new. One had hair braided like obsidian cables, her expression cold and unreadable, eyes like polished metal. The other leaned casually in her chair, crimson freckles glowing faintly against bronzed skin, watching me with the amused look of someone evaluating prey. I took my place across the table, kept my face neutral. Admiral Joran cleared his throat. Commander, meet Ambassadors Kyra, Vexa, and Rian, representatives of 3 neighboring empires. Representatives? Interesting word choice for 3 assassins. Kyra, the one who'd been in my room, met my eyes for the briefest second before looking away. No apology, no guilt, just conflict. The incident last night, Joran continued, is not what you think. I folded my arms. Someone tried to stab me in my sleep. I feel like that limits the number of possible interpretations. A ripple of awkward shifting moved through the council seats. Vexa, the metal-eyed one, finally spoke, her voice smooth and clinical. It was not an assassination. It was an evaluation. I blinked. What? Kyra exhaled slowly, as if explaining something she'd rather not admit. In our cultures, potential alliance partners are tested through ritual combat. If you survive, you are worthy. Rian smirked. And if you lose, at least you die with honor. I stared at them. So your government's idea of diplomacy is sending 3 elite warriors into my bedroom to kill me? Kyra lifted her chin. To see if you were strong enough to lead. The room fell silent. And just like that, I realized 2 things. First, this wasn't personal. Second, this wasn't over. And a promise that whatever this was, wasn't over yet. The council recessed for internal diplomatic review, which was government speech for. Everyone just realized they may have endorsed 3 attempted murders and needs coffee before dealing with it. I stayed behind, leaning against the cold metal window rail while station traffic drifted past in the void. It was strangely peaceful until a presence settled next to me. Kyra. She didn't draw a weapon this time. Progress. You took that better than expected, she said quietly, arms folded behind her back like a soldier awaiting orders. Well, I murmured. It wasn't my first surprise assassination that earned the smallest twitch of her lips. Not a smile. More like her mouth temporarily forgot it was supposed to remain terrifying. Before she could answer, the door hissed open and Vexa entered, precise as a machine. She stopped in front of me, pupils focusing like scanners. You should know, she said. Your survival has put us in danger. I frowned. Because I didn't let you kill me? No. She tapped the crest on her armor. Because we failed. Failure in our caste is treason. My jokey response died on my tongue. Suddenly, I wasn't looking at 3 deadly assassins. I was looking at 3 women whose own governments might be planning to erase them like data files. Rian strolled in last, rolling her eyes. If they send hunters after us, please tell me your species keeps weapons that explode dramatically. If I'm going down, I want fireworks. Rian, Kyra warned. What? He should know. We kept secrets. That's what put us here. They stared at each other, all 3 of them. 3 warriors from 3 rival empires, united by the same cruel reality. I exhaled. I'm assuming none of you want to end up as scorch marks on your homeworld pavement. That earned 3 very different reactions. Kyra, tense silence. Vexa, analytical interest. Rian, an enthusiastic God's no. So, I continued. We work together. At least until we figure out who really ordered this evaluation. Vexa's eyes narrowed. You think the mission wasn't legitimate? I turned on the portable display and showed them the footage I'd pulled from deep system logs. Hacked access, masked identities, entry timestamps inconsistent with council orders. Someone is staging this, I said. Someone who benefits from war between your empires and mine. The room fell quiet. For the first time I saw it, not as enemies but as survivors. 3 assassins realizing they weren't hunters anymore. The alarm hit before any of us finished processing the implications. A deep, resonant chime rippled through the chamber. One I'd only heard during live intruder events. Red lines lit across the walls, and my neural implant flashed a warning across my vision. Unauthorized breach, Sector 7 access tunnels. Kyra's head snapped toward me. That's your security system, isn't it? It's not decorative, I muttered, already pulling up the tactical overlay on my wrist console. Rian stepped closer, hand drifting toward the hilt of her curved blade. How bad are we talking? I zoomed in on the feed. Black armored soldiers crawling through maintenance shafts, bypassing alarms with precision that felt too practiced. Bad, I said. Whoever they are, they know exactly where the weaknesses are. Vexa pointed at the screen. Those are not council forces. No, I tightened my jaw. They're not from my people at all. Kyra didn't hesitate. Then we move. We sprinted through the corridor, the polished glass and chrome passing in a blur. I patched into internal cameras as we ran. Every new angle showed more infiltrators, silent, coordinated, armed with suppressor field rifles that could punch through station armor like wet cardboard. They weren't coming to kidnap or intimidate. They were coming to erase us. We reached a vertical transport shaft just as the first breach door blew inward. The blast wave rattled the frame and sent dust scattering across the hall. 3 armored soldiers stepped through the smoke, visors glowing blue, rifles raised. Rian moved first, leaping forward with a yell that probably made her ancestors proud. Her blade flashed in a wide arc, slicing one rifle clean in half before the soldier even registered she'd moved. Kyra danced in next, fluid and controlled, striking precision pressure points beneath armor plates with electrified palm strikes. Vexa didn't rush at all. She simply stepped aside, disarmed a soldier with a wrist twist so efficient it looked like choreography, then dropped him with a knife hand to the throat. Watching them fight was like watching 3 different philosophies of war. Rian, passion and force. Kyra, technique and tradition. Vexa, science turned violent. Meanwhile, I activated station defenses manually. Ceiling-mounted sentry lines snapped online, locking onto hostile signatures. Pulse rounds fired, forcing the intruders into cover. One of them shouted into a comm feed, voice breaking through static. Primary targets located. Move to extraction. They want the commander alive. Vexa narrowed her eyes. They don't want us dead. Not yet. That, Rian growled, usually means interrogation. Kyra looked at me, expression shifting from guarded to something steely and resolved. Commander, she said quietly, someone wants you removed from the game. Footsteps echoed deeper in the hall. More intruders, closing fast. I clenched my fists. Then let's make sure they regret playing. They were prey. And suddenly we were all on the same side. We fell back through a maintenance corridor as more boots thundered in behind us. The lights flickered, the hum of the station deepening as emergency systems diverted power. I keyed a command through my neural link, locking bulkheads behind us one by one. Straight ahead, I told the 3 women. Armory node is 60 meters. We hold them there. Rian cracked her knuckles. Good. I was starting to worry this day wouldn't include heavy weaponry. Vexa shot her a flat look. Most soldiers hope for peaceful endings. I never said I was most soldiers. Even in crisis, they still had banter. I kind of appreciated that. We burst into the armory. Sterile walls, gun lockers stacked floor to ceiling, tactical desks humming with defensive overlays. I brought the defense grid fully online, watching energy barriers shimmer into place. Kyra approached the tactical interface with cautious respect. Your systems. These are far more advanced than what we believed. Most of what I designed never made it into the official manuals, I admitted. Sometimes you build things for the day you pray never comes. And yet, Vexa murmured, here we are. Before I could answer, a display flickered with incoming data. Not just enemy squad signatures, a live transmission request. Encrypted. High-level protocol. I opened it with caution. Commander Thrain, High Council strategist. One of the men who'd approved the diplomatic summit. His face appeared, composed, elegant, but eyes cold enough to frost steel. Commander Darius, he said calmly, as if we weren't in the middle of an active firefight. Your compliance would simplify matters. Rian growled. Give me 1 minute with him. Kyra shook her head. Let him speak. Thrain continued with infuriating certainty. You upset the balance. 3 empires send their elite to test a human, and he survives? that becomes a symbol, one that questions centuries of hierarchy. It slipped into place for me like puzzle pieces snapping together. You set them up, I whispered, not to test me, but to eliminate them. He smiled in confirmation. Assassins are loyal. Leaders are dangerous. If women like these prove the universe wrong, people stop listening to men like me. Behind me, I felt the air shift. Not in fear, but something darker, stronger. Kyra stepped forward. You would sacrifice us for control? Not sacrifice, Thrain corrected. Strategic pruning. I cut the audio before Rian could break something expensive. They want stability, I said quietly, and we threaten their myth of superiority. Vex's gaze hardened with clinical resolve. Then we rewrite the myth. Alarms screeched again, enemy forces breaching the outer barrier. Kyra pulled her blade from its sheath, posture regal and unyielding. Darius, shall we change the galaxy today? I armed the last failsafe and met her eyes with a grin. Oh, absolutely. That night, 3 assassins walked into my life with orders to kill me. By dawn, we were fighting side by side against the most powerful conspiracy in the galaxy. And this was just the beginning. If the universe thinks it can decide our fate, then it hasn't seen anything yet.